afternoon. Hope you got outside to enjoy this beautiful afternoon. We're a bit of sunshine. So I want to talk today about working with more difficult states of mind and heart, stronger emotions that can be challenging. And what I want for you to get out of this is that how intense states of heart and mind, emotions, we're both to understand a little about intensity, how to work with them, and to know that whatever's arising in yourself or a student is workable, even though it might not feel workable. And through doing a few very simple things, I'll go into detail, but the simplicity is really managing intensity through what I call resourcing, grounding, inclining the attention, and what I call pendulation, which is like oscillation. So one thing I wanted to say that relates both to this morning and this afternoon is that it's really important for us to remember in our own practice and when working with students that people often live in a constant, almost constant state of mild dysregulation, a bit strong word, but. And what I mean by that is that people's nervous systems are often running anxiety, fear, judgment, distress, confusion, just by living life, especially modern life. And so one of the reasons why so many people have a hard time meditating is because it's hard to sit with ourselves. Why? Because what's running in our system is dis-ease, restlessness, anxiety, tension, angst, worry, social anxiety. Do I fit in? Am I welcome? Am I loved? Do I have value? So that's just a sort of, I think, an important background that's just in any space that we're in. And so it takes a while for people to feel comfortable, often, to feel welcome, to feel included, to feel safe or whatever. And so that relates to what I want to talk about today, because a helpful instruction when you're guiding meditation is first to resource people. And what I mean by that is a very simple instruction. Sit down, close your eyes, notice anything that's pleasant or pleasurable. Notice any quality of ease or relaxation. Notice the pleasure of sitting still in meditation, or sitting in this room. So you're orienting people to a sense of well-being, just a little bit. So how many of you have had very strong, difficult emotions come up in meditation? Just raise your hand. And how many of you have had very strong, difficult emotions in life come up? Is that a silly question? That's a silly question. It's called being human. And then the question you might ask is, well, how did I work with that? How did I manage that intensity? You know, maybe you had panic, or tremendous grief, or intense rage, or hatred, or fear, terror. Right? So, mostly in a meditation class that you'll teach, it's unlikely that very intense things will come up for people. They'll be experiencing emotions. Worry, sadness, guilt, shame, judgment. But unusual for very intense stuff to come. What I've learned from my own nervous system and working with my own trauma is the psyche, whatever the psyche is, knows mostly when it's a safe space for strong emotions to surface, when it's a safe space for trauma to come up. So, and mostly a public meditation class, most people aren't going to think that's a safe place. It's too public, too many strangers, too weird. But I just want to talk about when it might, or when it does for you, and maybe a student, some things to think about. And of course, like everything we teach here, what you teach and how you work with students comes from your own practice, comes from your own experience. Yeah? So for example, if you haven't had a lot of experience with, say, panic or anxiety, and someone comes to you with a lot of anxiety, it's going to be harder for you if you haven't explored that in yourself. Not impossible. You can't know everything. So what I'm pointing to here is just general principles. So, question for you. How do you know when an emotion is too much, too strong, too intense, too difficult to work with? What are the signs when you have very intense emotion? What's happening in this? What do you feel?
You are very confused.
Confused, okay, yeah.
When you contract in some way.
Contract, you tight, yeah.
Speed your heartbeat.
Raise heartbeat, yeah.
Take the whole space.
Pardon?
Takes the whole space.
Right, it takes up the whole, like it's all you can know and experience. Yeah. Jessie?
Can't breathe.
You can't breathe, right? So breathlessness, short breath. Yeah.
Crying.
Crying, sometimes uncontrollable crying, sobbing. Explosion, yeah, intensity, yeah, fire, volcano. Yeah.
Hot face.
Heart race, yeah. Oh, face, hot face, yeah, flushed, yeah.
When you want to reject the emotion.
So there can be a rejection. Mm-hmm. So some of the things I think characterize, there's sort of normal emotion, everyday emotion, and then there's more intense. And when it gets more intense, some things I think characterize that. One is feeling out of control, feeling afraid because it's out of control. It feels too much. There's a sense of being, someone spoke to this, like overwhelmed, like flooded, drowning. People talk to this physical agitation, sweat, shaking, heat. The mind, what's happening in the mind? It's very busy, very usually spinning a little bit. And we tend to lose touch with our environment. We're so caught up in our mood, anxiety, fear, whatever it is, that we're not really very present. We lose present time awareness. So I want to share some teaching. So I studied when I was working through my own intense emotional stuff in the 90s and working with some trauma. I studied with Peter Levine, who developed this work called somatic experiencing. Very, very simple mindfulness, I think mindfulness-based methodology that is very useful for grounding and resourcing people when they're going through intensity. It doesn't have to be trauma. So I'm going to explain a few principles. No, I don't think I'm going to write. Yeah. So, so I'm going to explain a little of what he calls pendulation. Pendulation. It's very easy at that part. Just, So, in normal life, everything in the universe, including the universe, is expanding and contracting. Every cell, every moment, breath, expanding, contraction. Like mood, we feel happy, we feel sad. Our energy goes up and down. Everything is oscillating. And so that oscillation is called pendulation. He calls pendulation. Where in a normal day, you wake up and it's like, oh, I'm at the Moulin, I'm so happy to be on retreat. And then you realize, oh shit, I'm late for meditation, I slept through my alarm, oh no, I'm going to be late, I hate it when I'm going to be late. And then you realize your clock is wrong, oh no, I'm really going to be on time, that's okay. And then maybe you have a very, very sleepy meditation. But then you get to breakfast and you have coffee. Whoop-de-doo. So, you could call this the expansive state or the contracted state. What do I want to call this today? Yeah, I could. Yeah, that would work. So that could be the expanded state, contracted state. It could be the relaxed state, and this could be the intense state. I don't like to call it positive and negative, but you might frame it in that way. But I think expansive, contracted, it makes sense. So this is just a natural part of the day, We have breakfast, oh, it's delicious. And then, we check our email, really bad idea. Oh no, my boss wonders why I'm so late on my project, and my team is annoyed with me because I've gone for the week, and no. And then we come into the meditation hall and we see all our friends and the Buddha, and this, oh, screw work, I'm happy here. And then, just that's natural part of the day, right? Expansive contraction. So, and then at some point, something, and this is a normal, natural flow, ebb and flow of life. And then sometimes we get stuck here. Maybe we do remember, we forgot something really important at work. And it triggers anxiety. And then we remember we're also late on another project and we experience fear. And then we remember how much our boss does not like us. And we're worried about our job security, which is real, because we're supporting our family, and we just go into this really intense fear, anxious, panic cycle. Does it sound familiar? And your mind just builds. Yeah? So what's an ordinary thing like, being late on a project suddenly turns into this really difficult place. And this, happy meditation, le moulin, friend, that's just disappeared. You're just lost here. And so when it's intense, it's hard to get over here. It's hard to ground. It's hard to be balanced. Like if you were to talk to a friend, they might say, okay, hold on, wait a minute. Yes, this is a problem, but we can figure this out. Let's send an email to your team. Let's talk about strategies. You're not going to die. Let's. But when we're in this place, we don't. When our system is activated, our prefrontal cortex shuts down. We lose that clear, rational capacity. So, one of the first things we want to do, so this is what I call the resource vortex, and this is the, let's call this the intensity vortex. And so, the first thing we want to do, we're assessing that we're in a difficult state, or we're noticing as students in an intense state. And we want to find a way for them to resource, to ground. So what would be a good way for people to ground? When you're...
Le corps.
The body. Yeah? What about the body? What about it? Breath, right? Breath. So breath is one way to very quickly regulate. In fact, there's a methodology now I've learned recently. They're doing a lot of research on breath and breath work. So we can all do this together. The quickest way, this sort of science shows, to down-regulate, right? Up-regulation is, down-regulate is calming. So the quickest way, and we can do this together, you take one very deep inhale through the mouth, actually really full, and then a quick, and then slow, through the mouth. So one very big inhale through the nose, full, 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 and then
I'm not sure. The second step.
The second step is.
So you're still inhaling.
Yes, you're still inhaling. Thank you. So one big inhale. You're full. You feel full, and then you take another inhale, and that sort of shortcuts or interrupts the stress cycle, at least momentarily. So you can do that once, you can do that 5 times, you can do that for 5 minutes. In the same way that long, slow exhales tell the nervous system, the parasympathetic, to relax. So breath, and then Tisha mentioned body. So what about the body? So feeling what's resourcing in the body. If your mind is spinning, your heart, feet, right? Grounding, feet, legs. Like right now, feel your thighs on the cushion, your feet on the ground, your buttocks on the cushion, chair. So the lower half of the body usually is more grounding. Not always. Because of a lot of emotion we feel here. The legs and the feet generally less emotional intensity. And also as energy follows attention. So if our attention's gone to our mind, our energy's up here, which creates more spinning. We want to bring the attention and therefore the energy down. Feet, legs, buttocks, belly, feel the breath in the belly, slow exhales. Touch is also regulating, so putting a hand on your heart, you can do that right now, put a hand on your heart, and then put your other hand on top of your heart. So then you're both, this is a expression of care, and then when you touch the other hand, you feel your hand being touched, as if someone's touching you, like in a kind way. And that can be soothing, or putting a hand on the belly and the heart. Sometimes sitting in meditation, there's too much energy, so sometimes it's better to stand. You might invite the person to stand. You might invite the person to walk. Always to ground energy. Right, so this is resourcing. We're coming over, grounding in the body. We're talking about working with intense states, intense emotions, and resourcing around. So that's the first step, right? Intensity happens, strong emotion, panic, fear, whatever it is. Okay, shift the attention from the head into the body, ground. But that's not necessarily enough, and you need a variety of strategies. So another part of resourcing is it's really a instruction from the Buddha. We're inclining the attention. So in general, in Vipassana, insight, mindfulness practice, the instruction is something comes up, pay attention to it. If fear comes up, be with it. Physical pain comes up, feel it. But when things are too intense, like for example, you're flying and you have a fear of flying, and there's turbulence, and you say, okay, I'm a mindfulness practitioner, I'm going to sit with my fear of turbulence and flying. Oh! It goes quickly to panic because it intensifies the feeling. And so what's most skillful is actually diverting the attention away, shifting the attention, inclining the attention away. And particularly because when we're caught up, say, in anxiety and panic, we've lost touch with reality. It's not grounded. We've lost touch with present time awareness, with what's around us. We're consumed. So we need to shift our attention away to resource so we can come back here so that we're in this plain panic. I mean, like, okay, what's going to help me ground? Well, I need to take my attention away from the turbulence and my panic. So what's going to help you when you're flying or when you're meditating? So let's go back to meditation. Maybe you're having this panic in meditation about work, or about fear of a relationship ending, or some health diagnosis you received, and you're in tremendous fear, distress. First we realize we're caught. We need to ground. And then we need to find somewhere to shift our attention that doesn't drag us back into the intensity. So, you're meditating, and so what I like to play with is, where can I shift my attention that's grounding? And I start with interior and then go outwards. So, for example, say I'm feeling a lot of rage, terror, and I'm caught. It's like, okay, I'm caught. I need to shift my attention. I ask the question: where in my body is there no fear? Not my breath, because my breath. Not my chest, because maybe my feet. Maybe my hands aren't feeling fear. Maybe my elbows, not a strong place of emotion or sensation. Somewhere grounding. But maybe that's not enough. So the quickest way, especially in meditation, to shift the attention, to come back into the present, is what? Open the eyes. Open the eyes, boom. Whatever story I'm in here, worrying about work, my partner, my money, when you open your eyes, oh, sunset, oh, Moulin, oh, people, oh, beauty, oh, nature. And that momentary shifting of attention allows the sun. So opening the eyes, opening the ears, listening to sounds. Maybe it's a lovely rainy day, or there's music playing, or there's children playing. Again, it's bringing us into the present. And in particular, and we'll do this right now, the more you can shift the attention to something pleasurable, the quicker you will downregulate. Because pleasure allows, if you think about, just like you take a hot bath, or you get a massage, or you eat a beautiful strawberry or something, it's kind of soothing to the body. That's why we love pleasure. Chocolate, chocolate, a little calm. So right now, let's all look out the window, and I want you to look at something, the most pleasurable thing you can find, the most enjoyable thing, light, leaves, grass, trees, clouds, maybe. There was a rainbow earlier. And then notice how you feel inside when you find this beautiful thing. And notice how that brings you into the present. And whatever you might have been thinking about 10 seconds ago, it's gone. You're here. You're just here. Oh, trees. Oh, Moulin, beauty, green, grass. You can come back now, even though it's more interesting to look at. So if this talk gets too much, you can look out the window. As children in school, we get told off for looking out the window, right? It's probably resourcing. They're resourcing. I hate this frickin' class. Look out the window. Okay, it's bearable. So taking in goodness, right? You might be looking at the Buddha or Tara, or someone in here that you like, a friend. You might be calling to mind the Buddha or some being that you know loves you, cares about. It might be your teacher. So the idea, the resourcing is we're going from something interior that's very accessible, body, maybe breath, hands, sounds, seeing. But maybe that's not enough. Maybe you're still very so agitated. So you need to get up, stand, maybe you walk around, right? Walking's very grounding. Or you go outside, because when you go outside, immediately the senses open up, like we explored last time a little bit. Feel the fresh air, the cold, the sunlight, the birds. Oh, right. Winter. Beauty. Okay. A bit more here. Still agitated. Okay, I need to go have a cup of tea. So in England, the greatest resource in England, having a problem? Oh, let's have a cup of tea. Let's sit down and have a nice little natter. Have some tea and bickies and we'll be all right. It's a national resource. I don't know what it is in France, but maybe a coffee, or something. I don't know. Huh? A wine? Glass of wine. Okay, glass of wine. Whatever works. And then there's many other things that we can include in resourcing. So what you do when you're really distressed, what's your resource? So for example, taking a nice hot bath with oils and bubble bath, and that may be a resource. What do you do for resourcing that's healthy? Stretching, yeah, yoga. Dancing, yeah, dancing is a fabulous way to resource. Yeah. Smiling? Smiling, David? Yeah, can be. Walking, running, right, physical movement, exercise, working out. Stressing the body takes the attention from this and this to, hike up a hill is what I like to do. Singing, yeah, nice, singing. Yeah. Cooking, cooking, and then eating. Eating can be very grounding, depending on what you eat and how much. The ice cream, and then sometimes, music. Music is fabulous, very quick. You put some music on, boom, immediate different state of consciousness. Especially if you also can move, dance, laughter. Funny movies, right? Netflix, media we can use it skillfully. We can be very, very distressed, and there seems to be no resolution, and it's helpful. And this is the difference is this is conscious inclining the attention. This is conscious diversion. Sometimes I call conscious distraction. Normally, Netflix, whatever, can be very unconscious sometimes. But we're using it to go, okay, I'm stressed, I'm anxious, I need to shift my attention. Okay, let's watch Mad Max 3. Okay. Oh, that's making me worse. No, turn it off. Okay, I watch, some butterflies, some nature program. Okay. Anything else? Other resources?
Gardening.
Gardening, yes. Nature, and nature is the resource. She is our resource. Did you say growing? Throwing? Drawing, yes, drawing, yeah. Yeah, art. Yeah. Creativity. Yeah. So we're moving from the distress to body, to grounding, inclining the attention, to resourcing. And then, this is the key point from a practice point of view. So say you're able to stay in meditation. A wave of fear, panic comes up, spinning. And then you remember about being in your legs and feeling your breath and maybe opening your eyes. And you start to ground, you start to calm down a little bit. The problem has not gone away. You might still be risking losing your job. No problem's still here, just because you're grounded. Still have a problem at work. So, once you feel grounded here, the body and the senses, then you do what pendulation. The pendulation is okay, now I feel more grounded. I'm going to just feel into my belly where the anxiety was, and just feel it for 5 seconds, one breath, and then go, okay, enough. Come back out, open my eyes, look out the window. Okay, manageable. Feel grounded. Okay, you go back in and feel it for 10 seconds or a minute. And then when I've had enough, or maybe when the anxiety rises again, I come back and I ground in the body, breath. So the idea, it's okay. The idea is this whole thing, what we're doing, is we are titrating intensity. Titrating means to moderate, to lessen, to manage the intensity. So we've managed the intensity by grounding, body, senses, movement. But we have to deal with this, but we deal with it from a place of being grounded. We touch it, we come back. Just like physical pain, you can feel the back pain, come back to the breath. Feel the back pain, come back to sound. And so in that way, we're learning to include the difficulty from a place of groundedness. So it doesn't agitate this nervous system. Oh, two more things. So one other essential quality, aside from grounding, inclining, resourcing, pendulating, oscillation, is love. Is holding all of this with kindness, with care, with love. The more that we can bring in friendliness, warmth, care, love, the easier it is to hold our experience. Just like if you're having a hard time and your partner or friend is kind and loving and forgiving, it's like, it's okay, it's okay. We got this together. Something in our nervous system relaxes. But we ultimately have to learn to do that with ourselves. We have to love this one who's a little distressed. So, if this was a meditation we've just done, or you were guiding someone through this, the last thing you want to do is what's called reorientation. My spelling might be terrible, I know. So, reorienting is, so you come out of meditation, and you just take a little time to go, okay, I'm not here, I'm here at 4:45 with the sun setting at the Moulin on teacher training again, here in this moment. So it's a way of orienting, grounding in your environment. And then just on a broader level, this is sort of not in your meditation or when you're guiding or when you're teaching, but you might also, other resources you might mention social network, friends, psychotherapy, coaching, counseling, animals. Animals can be very soothing, grounding. So you might talk to someone who's having a lot of distress. You might ask them, what's your resource network at home? Do you have a counselor? Do you have a friend you can talk to, or family, or a partner? How are they resourced? And then you also, one more thing here, in general, what's helpful for the continuation of resourcing is taking in the good. The psychologist Rick Hansen talks about taking in the good. So orienting, it's very easy in this world to only focus on problems. War, poverty, climate crisis, you name it. COVID. And to remember there's a beautiful sunset, and the river is flowing, and the grass is growing, and people can be kind, and the birds are migrating back for the winter, and on and on and on. Right? So we're training our attention to incline towards the wholesome. Okay, one last thing. So I'm mostly teaching this for your own practice. But then you might be working with people one-on-one as a coach, some of your coaches, therapists, clinicians, whatever, friends, family. And you might use some of this. Maybe your kids get very agitated. Or maybe you get very agitated with your kids. And you need it, right? You need to ground. So many places to practice this with yourself, with your children, with your loved one, with your students perhaps, but only do it with your students if you know what you're doing. If you don't, if there's too much, then you go to the wider resources, therapy, counseling, someone who's skilled to work with emotional intensity. Right? Okay, that was what we say in England, a whistle-stop tour. You know that phrase, whistle-stop tour? Like a quick, no, not grand tour, it's quick, like a quick tour to working with intensity. Again?
Just a question, when you spoke about reorientation.
Reorientation, yeah.
Yes, it was about it was to
Present moment.
to
Present moment experience.
It wasn't about coaching, therapy.
No, that is resource. That's wider resources. Wider resources is what do you do when you go home? Who can support you when you go home? The reorientation is when I finish the meditation. It's been very intense. Before I get up and drive my car, let me make sure I'm here, grounded. Oh yeah, Friday afternoon. So I'm present time. That's reorienting to the present moment. Huh?
La géographie.
Mm-hmm.
Le lieu, l'espace.
All right. So half of the room is going to get really, really distressed, and the other half of the room is going to help you out. Now you all got distressed. I'm not going to do that. So what we're going to do, we're going to get in groups of 3. We're going to do a triad, and we're going to do some inquiry. We're not going to have you practice teaching this, but I do want you to reflect on this when you're meditating, when you check your email tonight and you get really enraged or anxious or pissed off, or whatever, to try and remember some of these principles, which is mostly grounding, resourcing, resourcing. So that's why I said at the beginning it's very simple. There's lots of detail, but it's very simple. How do I ground? What's a resource for me in this moment? Talking to someone, breathing, cup of tea, going for a walk, lying down, hot bath, sensing my feet, etc. Okay.
Mark, can we also guide someone to relate to a pleasant past experience?
A pleasant?
Yeah, pleasant.
There's no need to do that
Okay.
because they're not distressed. They're already, if they're pleasant experience, they're already in the resource.
No, but if someone is distressed.
Oh, I see. Yes, 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 that is a resource. You can say, call to mind, a place you love, a person you love, an experience that was very beautiful. Maybe the person just came back from holiday and, by the ocean. So remember the ocean, or remember something beauty that you love. Like memories, we can use the mind to, but it's physical is better. Yeah. Okay.
You do this in a group if one particular person is distressed?
Only if you're very skilled and experienced. I'll do it. I'll do it with one person, and because I'm teaching everybody else.
Yeah. Okay.
But if you're not, then don't. But it could be, for example, everyone's meditating, and you can see someone's very, very distressed, and so you might say, oh, if you notice any strong emotions, any intensity, it can be helpful to just feel the lower half of your body. It can be helpful to open your eyes. It can be helpful to look out the window. It can be helpful to put a hand on the heart. So when I'm teaching, working with emotion like we did today, I'll mention some of those things. Because they're very simple. It's very practical. Okay, so cyclonic. So again, groups of 3. So 10 minutes one way. Tell me a way that you get caught in intense states. Tell me a way you get caught. Tell me a way you experience intense states. So for example, every time I fly, I'm terrified of flying, and I feel a lot of panic. Or when I let my children drive my car, I feel loss of control. Or when someone accuses me of doing something I didn't do, I feel rage, or I feel hurt. So just go around one person, one thing, short, concise. Just go around just talking about different ways you get distressed. And then for 5 to 5. Oh yeah, we have time. 20 minutes the other way. Tell me a way that you work skillfully with being in having a distressed emotion. Tell me a way you work skillfully when you're distressed or upset. So for example, when I'm having an argument with my partner, which I never do, but just for example, I hear people argue with their partner, but then I take long, slow, deep breaths, and she's telling me something that I've done wrong. Or I feel my legs and my feet when someone's telling me something difficult, and just ground. Or when I'm flying and I get anxious, I put on loud music and just lose myself in the music as a way to stay centered.
Donc c'est 10 mois une manière avec laquelle tu naviges pour gérer
tes émotions difficiles.
D'accord, merci.
So, when you're doing the first question, tell me a way you get distressed or experience distress. You can talk very briefly about the thing, flying, and I feel very, very upset here, and short of breath. And as you're going around, listening, talking, notice what you're feeling. Notice any emotion, any distress that might arise, anxiety, or compassion, or care for others. And when you're talking about how to work with it skillfully, someone says, "Oh yeah, I really feel my belly. I put my hand on my heart, feel my feet on the ground." Right? You can follow them with your attention. Oh yeah, right. Feet on the ground. Oh yeah, I can. Even as you're talking, I can feel that's grounding. Okay, so then that will take half an hour, and we'll come back at 5:30 for some questions, reflections. Yeah, so groups of 3.